Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Callie's Kingdom, and it has been a little while. I have been so busy with school, and then I was working as a counselor at a engineering summer camp at my college, and now I'm finally back. So after a long time, I finally have time to do a video again on my channel, which I'm so excited for. And you can stay tuned for a couple more videos as well, because I have like a month before I go back to school, and nothing to do during that time except read, hang out with my friends, do my other hobbies, and film some videos. So, I want to catch you up from all the books that I read since the beginning of the year until now. And it is a little less than I normally would during other years, but my goal for this year is 24 books for 2024, and I have read 13. I'm in the middle of one, and I also started another one, and then I put it down because I just wasn't in the mood for it at that time, but I plan on coming back to that one as well. So technically I'm in the middle of 2 books. So I think I'm doing pretty good, on track for that, but today I have 13 books, whoa, this is a big stack, to show you and talk about that I've read since the beginning of the year. So let's get into it. So the first book that I read this year was Defiant. Technically, I think I read most of this last year, but I finished it this year, so it still counts as a book for this year. So Defiant is the 4th book in a series called Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. I almost said Branderson Sanderson because that's what my friends jokingly call him. Because we have a friend, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what I'm saying. We have a friend who loves Brandon Sanderson, and we always call him Branderson Sanderson. But anyway, this was the 4th book in the Skyward series, and I absolutely loved this book. It wasn't quite 5 stars, but it was 4.5 stars. I think it wrapped up this series so nicely, and if you don't know what Skyward is, I can't really say much about this book since it's the 4th book, but basically Skyward is a young adult sci-fi series about a girl named Spensa, and she wants to be a pilot, basically for the Defiant Defense Force, but she's not allowed to because her father was deemed like a coward, and he fled during a fight, and it goes off the rails from there, but in a good way, I think. And the 3rd book in this series, it was good, but it wasn't quite as good as the rest of the series, so I'm so glad that it had a great wrap-up, and I love this cover. I kind of wish I got the Barnes & Noble version because it has turquoises and blues, and it's so pretty, but I loved this book, and I thought it was a great way to start out the year. So the next book I read was called The Last Thing He Told Me, and my mom really enjoyed this book, so I also got this book for $3 from somewhere, and she read it, and then I realized that I had the book, so I'm like, oh, I should read it. And I rated this book 3.5 stars. It wasn't a bad book. It was a mystery, but it was very slow moving, and it didn't feel like there was a lot of suspense, or there was a lot of, I don't know, just different characters and ideas of what could happen. It's more like you're slowly just starting to figure out the mystery, but there's no way you can guess it or anything. And it was good, but it wasn't the type of mystery that I normally like, so that's why it was 3.5 stars. But that was The Last Thing He Told Me. And then the next book I also rated 3.5 stars. This is Shatter Me, which I've heard a lot about the series, and a lot of people love it, and I plan on continuing it sometime because I have the other books, but I think at first I rated it 4 stars, but I just feel like not too much happened in this book. It was a very quick and easy read, and I feel like it might get better as the series go on because it is such a unique premise about a girl who, she can't touch people or they will die, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, so she was put in a dungeon or a cell and she was going crazy there, and I liked the writing style, and I liked how a lot of the words were crossed off and rewritten. That was really cool, but I feel like this book was a lot of setup for what will happen later, and we'll see. We'll see how I like it, because it's like a dystopian book, and I think it's from when dystopian was very popular, so I'm just reading it for the first time now. But I got this book for $1, and I got two of the other books for $2 or so I will continue this on sometime. Now, the next book is 4 stars, which I'm glad I feel like this year I've pretty much stayed in the 3.5 to 4-star range for a lot of my books, which is good that I'm not rating any 1 or 2 stars. Yeah, I've rated none less than 3 stars, I think. But I've only had one 5-star, and I'm looking for more 5 stars, guys. I was so excited for this book. This book was 4 stars, so it was a good book. But it's by Abby Emmons, which I loved. 100 Days of Sunlight, which I read last year and rated that 5 stars. But this one I liked, but I feel like, I don't know, the writing style was a little different for this one, and also I found it kind of weird, like the romance a little weird, just because of the age difference. The girl is like 18 and the guy is like 28, and I think that's kind of weird. But it's still a good book, and it's not like a romance like some of the romances nowadays. Like, it's very clean, which I like. And also, I think it was a unique premise because she was growing up alone on this island with the lighthouse, and there's no one there, and she never got to see the outside world or the other world. And then this one guy crashes on the beach, and she saves him. And there was also a little bit of a love triangle with this guy's brother also liked the main character Orca, but you could tell that she wasn't going to end up with him. And I think love triangles can be done right sometimes, but I don't know, this one was a little disappointing, but it was still a good book. I don't want to sound like I'm just hating on all these books, but it's because I enjoyed them, but I feel like they could have been better, you know? But also this cover is really pretty, and I don't know if it comes off here on camera, but it's supposed to be like a butterfly wing. Like, it goes from like there, up, and then down. Yeah, so because there's a whole butterfly effect thing which was said in there, which it seems like all the characters were trying to get deep, but I feel like the book could have gotten a little deeper too with the whole like butterfly effect, everything like that, but still an enjoyable read. The next book I also rated 4 stars. Lots of 4 stars, which is good. 4 stars is a good rating. But The Brothers Hawthorne. And I love the other books in this series. This is the Inheritance Game series. There's a trilogy, and then this one kind of had 2 stories that were kind of interwoven together with 2 of the brothers it was told by, Grayson and Jameson. And I thought it was a fun read. It's a fun little mystery, a fun add-on to the original series, but it wasn't like quite as good as the original trilogy. But I had a fun time reading it, and I really enjoyed it. I can't say much about the stories. Also, I don't know how memorable they were, because I remember the main aspects of each of the 2 stories, and they kind of go back and forth. It's not like 2 separate short stories. It's like they're happening simultaneously, but they're just very different. And I think at the end they kind of converge, but not too much. But if you really like the Inheritance Games, I recommend reading this. And I'm excited for the next book that came out in this series. That's about the main character creating her own type of inheritance games type thing. So that was good. This book I rated 4.5 stars, which I think I'm going to change it to 4.25 because I think it was better than 4 stars, but I don't know if it was quite on the same level as 4.5. But this is A Curse So Dark and Lonely, and it's a Beauty and the Beast retelling. But this main character, Harper, she starts out in New York City, and then she gets kind of whisked away into this fantasy world where she's supposed to be, it's kind of like, why was I about to say it's kind of like Beauty and the Beast? Because, no, I was thinking about something else. What was it? I don't know. Ignore me. So basically the guy, he has to break his curse of being a beast, but he only transforms into a beast in the winter. So he has some time where he's human. And he needs to break that curse before he turns into a monster, and I think this year, if he turns into a monster, he's going to be like that forever. Like, there's no going back. So Harper's accidentally grabbed. It was supposed to be some other person who was, but she doesn't know that he's like the beast or the monster, and she's trying to help save the kingdom, and but also trying to get back to New York City because her brother is in trouble, and it was really good. I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was a unique take on Beauty and the Beast. But what I didn't like is that I thought this was a standalone, and apparently it's a trilogy. So I always like, if I know something's a trilogy, then I'll be excited for it and everything. But I thought this was a standalone, and I thought it was done until I reached the end, and I'm like, what? But I will continue on with this series sometime. But maybe not for a little while, since this wasn't one of the books that I'm itching to get to the next one. I feel like it did kind of wrap up well at the end, so I guess it could be like you put it down there, but I don't know. I like the book, so I want to continue it on, but I don't have the other books, and I wasn't expecting to have to continue it on. But still, it was a good book, and I recommend checking it out. Wow. Keeping on theme with the fairy tale retellings, we have The Stolen Kingdom, which was recommended to me by my friends, who actually have their own YouTube channels, Nayara and Eva. Maybe I will link them if I remember. Hopefully I do. But this is an Aladdin retelling, and I rated this 4 stars. My friends seem to love this series, so maybe I will enjoy it even more as it goes on. Like I said, 4 stars isn't a bad rating, but when you're hearing people be like, "Oh, this is so good," then I was hoping that it would be like another 5 stars, but I feel like as it goes on, maybe it will be good, like even better. Not that this wasn't good. But basically, this is about a girl who she has like the genie gift, where genies and genie gifts are like outlawed. And I forget what was her genie gift. Oh yeah, she can hear the thoughts of those around her. I read these books like a little while ago, so I need to remind myself of what happened. And then she meets this boy who's basically like the Aladdin of the story, and it kind of goes from there. And at the end, I think they meet someone who's supposed to be like the Little Mermaid, and that's going to be the next book, like a retelling of that. So it's cool how they have different fairy tale retellings, and I did enjoy this book, and sometime I will continue on, kind of like a lot of these where I'm like, I'll continue on with this sometime, but I'm not itching to get to the next book, you know? That's kind of how I feel about this, but I do want to finish this series someday. The next book I read for my book club at my school. It was called Rosie Reads Book Club. So we read The Martian, which was also really cool because I got this book for free, and I love free books. And it was so fun to read this and discuss it with people, except for when I got really busy towards the end and I didn't finish it before our last meeting, and I just had to be there like, "Hi guys, I didn't finish the book." So I got spoiled, but I only had like a chapter or 2 left, so it wasn't like I got that spoiled. But right before our meeting, I'm just here like reading. But I really enjoyed this book. I rated it 4.5 stars. I thought it was a really good book choice too for a school that is an engineering school, because I go to an engineering school, if you guys don't know. So I thought it was really cool because we got a lot of explanations of what happened and how this guy, Mark, basically, if you don't know The Martian, this guy, Mark, is left on Mars accidentally. They think he's dead, so the rest of the crew leaves to escape from a sandstorm, and he's there, and he basically has to survive. And no one knows he's alive. Maybe they'll find out later in the book, but he basically has to keep himself alive for a long, long time. He doesn't know exactly when, but he kind of predicts, okay, when the next Mars mission comes around this time, I need to stay alive until then. And he is such a smart guy, but he makes like the stupidest mistakes that put him in even more trouble. And it's just so cool to see his thought process, to see the science behind things, because it's all explained in here basically. Not like every single detail, but he's like, I have to do this because of this and this and this. But it doesn't get overly like boring because of that, because Mark is just such a funny guy and such a funny main character, and I just loved reading this book so much. And afterwards we watched the movie, which the movie is pretty good, but it just didn't compare to the book. And the Mark in the movie didn't compare to how funny he was in the book. And I feel like a lot of the problems in the movie were kind of more brushed over while we went into more detail in the book, and it was such a good book. I keep saying the word book over and over again, and I really enjoyed reading it with other people. So I'm really excited that I got to join the book club and I had enough time and I got to read this book. And I'm excited for the start of next year, where for the first quarter, our book is going to be The Haunting of Hill House, which I've never read many horror books, but I'm excited to like read that and see how that is. But anyway, my next book is by the same person who wrote A Curse So Dark and Lonely, but it's called Defy the Night, and this is also a 4-star book. This one I knew was a trilogy, so I have the second book. I'll probably read it sometime. Again, like I keep saying, with 4-star books, I'm like, I'll read it. I'll read the second book, but I'm not like itching to get it, you know? But this book is about a girl. What's her name? Tessa. Oh yeah, I thought it was really funny because, at first, this one guy who she knows in here, his name is like West or Weston. I forget exactly what it is. But in another book that I read last year, 100 Days of Sunlight, which I mentioned before, the main character's name was Tessa and the love interest was Weston. So that was just a really funny detail. But basically, Tessa, she is stealing these elixirs of a cure. I think it's Moonflower. Yeah, Moonflower elixir, because people are getting sick, and the Moonflower elixir is the only thing that's helping save them, that's helping them get better. So she's like stealing it and helping give it to some people with her family used to do that with her, but then her parents died. And then the other main character is like the Prince Korik, who's trying to enforce, like, don't steal the Moonflower Elixir, trying to save his people. He's kind of the second in line for the throne because his brother is ruling. His parents also died when he was younger, but then their lives get kind of, like, intertwined together, and it's cool because she's, like, a whole little Robin Hood character, and then he's, like, a prince, but is there more to him than that? And I enjoyed this book, and I'm excited to read the second one. And also, I think it's really pretty. Like, the whole castle and the like background, and then the Defy the Night looks like it's glowing. So next is my first 5-star read of the year. It's The Reappearance of Rachel Price, and I love this book. Also, I just need to show you how pretty it is inside with the cracked camera, and then the inside is also really cool. So, not that I judge books by their covers, but if they have a pretty cover or a cool cover, it just adds to it. So this book is Holly Jackson's newest release, and Holly Jackson wrote A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, if you don't know, and she also wrote another book called 5 Survive. And Good Girl's Guide to Murder, 5 Survive are both 5-star books for me, and then her second book was 4.5 stars in A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. The third book was a little disappointing. I think I only rated that 3 stars. But The Reappearance of Rachel Price was another 5-star book. So basically, this book is about a girl. What's her name? I read too many books. Belle. Yeah, her name's Belle. Which I thought was kind of funny because in A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, a girl named Andy Bell is the one who dies. But now the main character in this book's name is Belle. But this author really likes one syllable, like, unique girl names. Because Pip was the main character in A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Red was the main character in 5 Survive. And now Belle is the main character in The Reappearance of Rachel Price. So basically, Belle's mom, Rachel, disappeared like years ago when she was 2 years old. And now this film documentary crew is doing a documentary on her mom, and they're calling it The Disappearance of Rachel Price. But in the middle of the documentary, Rachel Price reappears, not disappears. She already disappeared. She reappears. And Belle thinks there's something up with her mom. She thinks it's really weird. She doesn't believe her story that she was kidnapped by some random man and kept in his basement for that long. She thinks there's something up with it. So she starts trying to investigate it, along with this one guy who's part of the camera crew. He's one of the filmers that's around her age. And they start looking into the reappearance of Rachel Price. And it goes from there. And it's really good. I highly recommend this book. I could not put it down. Well, I could because I was reading this during camp when I was a counselor. And I couldn't read it all the time, but sometimes when I was on duty, I would be reading it, and then the kids, there's a couple of them who were like, I read that book! Because the people who go to this camp are only like a couple years younger than me, sometimes only a year or two. So they were like, oh my gosh, and then we talk about how much we loved it. It was great. The next book, this is my copy, but I actually borrowed a copy from my friend who was a counselor at that camp because I left this copy at my house and I didn't have it with me when I went to camp. But I got this copy for $2 at Goodwill, so I love buying books, but I love buying cheap books even more. But this is Where the Crawdads Sing, and it's another book that I rated 4 stars. This was a mystery. It was like his historical fiction mystery. I know they made a movie out of it, but my friends who read the book and watched the movie said the book is a lot better, which normally happens. So I have not watched the movie yet. I'm not a big movie, TV show girl, but I probably will sometime, maybe, if I get to it. We'll see. But it's about this girl. Again, what is her name? What is her name? Kaya. Kaya's her name. But she's called the Marsh Girl because she lives alone in the marsh, basically. And this guy named Chase, he dies. Basically in the, I guess, present time, we'll call it. Not like present time like our time, but it's kind of going from flashbacks to her growing up and telling her story growing up and what happened to like the present time where Chase was found murdered, and there's a whole trial for her because they think that she did it, and it's a whole cool story like that. And I really liked reading it and getting to see who I thought did it, and the ending was really good. And it touched on some like deeper topics and some harder topics, but so it took a little while to get through some parts, but it was really good. And I also love talking about it with my friends who already read it, because the one counselor that I was friends with gave it to another counselor and she read it, and then she gave it to me to read it, and we were all I guess reading it at different times, but then I could talk to them about it and be like, oh, I think it might be this person. I think this could have happened, which was really cool. And I thought it was a pretty good book. So 4 stars. Lots of 4 stars, lots of, yeah, mostly 4 stars. So, and I think I didn't go below 3.5 stars. So it's been a pretty like stable, solid reading year. But I'm just sad that there hasn't been like too many 5 stars, because last year I got like 6 or 7. I'm like, ah. And I know I read more books last year, so I had more of a chance to get 5 stars. But I'm just waiting for more books to blow me out of the water. Like, these are all really good, but... Okay, this is a 4.5 star, and this was pretty good. And this is One of Us is Back, and it's the 3rd book in the One of Us is Lying series. And I guess I can't say too much, but basically there's these 3 people who were main characters in the other series. 2 from the 1st book, 1 from the 2nd book. And it's kind of a whole story about this one guy who was put in jail in, I think, the 1st book. He gets out of jail, so the people are kind of scared about that, like, why is he out of jail? And then this one girl, she basically gets, like, kidnapped and, like, tied up and in a shed, and she's not hurt, but they're like, is someone gonna come after other people next? What is going on? There's a billboard that says, like, it's time for a new game or something, so they're all looking into that, trying to see what happens. And I think the perfect thing happened with, I love when I predict part of what happened, so I predicted, I guess I can't say too much, but I predicted part of what happened, but I didn't predict all of it. So I feel smart, like, oh, I saw the clues, like, there was enough foreshadowing for that, but I'm still blown away by, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that part, you know? So, I thought this was a really good book. This was the last book that I read, and I literally read it in 2 days. It was crazy. So those are all the books that I finished. Right now I'm reading this book called The Bone Houses, which looks so creepy. It's honestly not as creepy as I thought it would be, but it's pretty good so far, so we'll see what I rate it. I'm about like halfway-ish through. So far I think it's probably going to be around 4 stars, but maybe 4.5. If it blows me away, maybe 5, but I don't think so right now. We'll see though. But I'm so glad that I got to film another video. I hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned because I'll probably be posting more. Oh yeah, also I guess I didn't mention, I got a new bookshelf. Well, it was a bookshelf that my sister had, but she didn't use it, so she gave it to me, and I literally filled it all up with books, so now I have my bookshelf from before and this new one. Maybe my next video will be a bookshelf tour, which I need to organize these books a little bit better, because when I got this new bookshelf, I just put a bunch on, and some of the books aren't, I want to put like mysteries here, fantasy here, like maybe have a 5-star bookshelf. That would be cool. We'll see. Maybe I'll do a video of me reorganizing my bookshelf, not just a bookshelf tour. I think that's a good idea. Okay, well, I feel like I just keep rambling, but I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye!